this topic is one that came up this week, which I love about, do stuff and talk about it. So it's one of those things that if you've worked with me for a long time, you get it. If you haven't, it can be quite a shock. And it's one of those things that I've built up over time, and it's just the ability to say no. The first answer you get out of me is generally no. Good stuff, champ. I definitely need to work on how I deliver that no, for sure. If you're an entrepreneur, you need to memorize this response. That's an amazing idea. It's not a priority right now, but I'll add it to our big ideas list. Thanks for sharing it. Businesses rarely die from a lack of good ideas. They die from a lack of good execution.
That's good.
Right. And this is what it really boils down to. In any business, any size, you're always going to be limited by the resources you have. You need to be able to decide what is it, the main focus that the team is working on right now, and what other things are basically distractions. And in tech, this is features. For us, it's a whole bunch of features. Oh, this is cool. This could be cooler. And always it's like, yes, definitely it is cool. But if we automatically say yes, or let's put it to the pile, or that, what you end up with is a massive list of things to try and do. One, they go stale. We've seen this happen so many times. Like, we generally just go like, yeah, cool idea, chuck it on the pile. And you usually put it in like idea. And that's kind of what Clipflow is, right? We have the ideas thing and you just chuck whatever you want on there. No, you don't have to think twice about it, but to move something to a project is where you're committing. Something that I've learned over time is basically just saying, yeah, that's really cool. No, but what it can do is hurt a lot of feelings if you don't understand kind of the message or the meaning behind it. And obviously I don't deliver it in the right way. I think the way Hormozi says it is really nice. And if he actually says it that way, that's even cooler. I don't think so.
That has its own problems though. So just from the experience of like last business, if you just say that's an amazing idea, I'll put it in the ideas bucket. We did that a lot. And it also backfired because people are like, yeah, you said that last time. Why aren't you doing it? You do have to at some point go a bit deeper into it and be like, yeah, it's just not, we're not doing it right now because of X, Y, Z. But like, I've felt the sting of that where you're like, yeah, cool idea, I'll add it in. And then nothing gets done. They also get disillusioned by that.
That's true. That is actually true, because what you're actually doing in that approach is funny that you said that, because what you're doing is avoiding a hard conversation. Because when you say no, 100%. You need to be able to have also kind of a reason sometimes why. You can say no without a reason, but that's fine. Just it's not as good for morale. But if you can say no, this is why. And how I work a lot is I'll say no instantly, and then I'll kind of think about it and simmer, and then I'll start being the devil's advocate about why that I have said that. So I'm going to give an example. We're working on the notification screen inside of Clipflow. Zach is a power user of the system. He is getting cranked with, doing so much media every single day. Like, we're shipping 5 to 6 pieces of content a day, which is a lot of work, and getting overwhelmed with notifications. And he was like, hey, can we group these notifications? Because it'd be really cool. Like, obviously, yes, that's a sick idea. But then I started throwing out, I was like, so if we're grouping by project, what happens if, old notifications get cranked with new ones and stuff? So what we're doing there is actually building a better version of that idea. So where we ended up, like, the idea was like, no, we're not really going to do that right now. But unfortunately for me, is once there's an idea in my brain, it starts ticking away and it can't get rid of it.
Never give Ken an unsolved problem.
Yeah, it's not really ideal. And my brothers are really bad at this. They used to just come in, drop a bomb, and then just walk out the door. And they're like, it's off my head. I'm good. So I'm just going to move on with my life. But for me, it was sitting in here and I was like, I had to solve that problem. So that's one of the reasons why I generally it's good to have process, especially around people that are like that. So you can kind of put it in a shelf and like, okay, this has been brought up once. That's fine. It's been brought up 5 times. Okay, well, let's ship it up the tree. Yeah. But obviously, mission critical stuff, like you really need to build a culture around like understanding like this is mission critical. We should probably get this going quickly. And these are not important. So you kind of need to build your team around that to understand how those things work. We ended up going down the rabbit hole and formulating a plan. So, okay, well, it's grouped by project, it's grouped by user, and it's grouped by the hour. So if something happened an hour ago, it's not grouped with the current group. Because what you're trying to avoid is the rapid fire comments on something. Like if someone goes comment, or upload media, comment. You want all that to go together as a batch. Long story short, we turned what should have been a day into a week's worth of work. But this is like, we kind of said, well, this is valuable to add. Right, so we did end up going down that road, but the default response was no. It was like no, and then we can think and formulate and see if it's something we want to add in to actually do. I like this article that we found here online. It's like why no as a default is good, and this might have even come from Rework or a summary from everyone. But why no, right? So time management. So we help avoid overcommitment. because if we say no more frequently, we're going to have fewer things to do. So it means we can actually execute and do those things well, right? And then also hit times that we want to hit. Focus and productivity is similar concept. You get to focus on one thing. So we want to avoid being yes men, because in the end of the day, being a yes man just means you don't do anything. We've seen this. Hey, Daryl, we've seen this in the past. Like,
100%.
yes, 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 yes. And then everyone comes like, where's that thing you said you're going to do? And it's like,
Well, yeah, you end up getting nothing done, so it may as well have been a no in the first place.
Yeah. So you avoid a hard conversation, and then you end up doing nothing. And it was funny because when I went into the last business, I came in and everyone's like, Ken, you always say no. Like, and then people try and go around you because they're like, you just say no. And then I'm like, yeah, but I say no because I know it's not going to get done.
The problem is no one seems to see, and I think you don't even see it when you're in it, what you're not doing because you didn't say no. Because you start doing stuff. Like, for example, this notifications thing, grouping it. Because we're not doing posts right now, because we're not doing this right now, because we're not doing this right now, we have room to do that. That can be a significant improvement. And obviously you've got to like weigh everything up, but you'll never see what you didn't do because you said yes to everything before that. Like notifications never got better because we stacked the plate with so much stuff and planned the next 6-month roadmap, whatever it is, customers saying they need these things. You don't see what the good parts are that you could have got done if you hadn't said no to everything. If you said yes to everything and everything just keeps piling up. We saw that happen quite consistently, where when we made space for nothing to be built, the best things were built.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so true. If you have a few people who can execute in your business, you're preventing burnout. The opposite of that is just overcommitting and creating overwhelm. When there's just, I'm looking at a thing and you just go, like, there's so much here to do. I don't even know where to start, right? Because your focus is so diluted. So by having fewer things, you prevent burnout because you look at your list, you go, I have 3 things to do. Realistically, you can only have one priority. You can't actually have multiple priorities. You can only have one. Priority means, I believe it means first. So by having just the one thing, and then like, obviously if we have a little bit of a backlog, you can then choose your next priority, but you only can ever, as a human, work one at a time. You select that and then you go all in and you focus on that, finish that, and then you prioritize something else. And you take bricks at one at a time. The opposite of saying no is saying yes, which means you do nothing. Like when you make promises to customers, that's the worst. Like we've seen this happen so much time. And then guess what? And then like by saying no, we've reduced stress. But by saying yes, we're increasing stress because we've got more obligations to do. And this happens in life too. You can just say like, I'm not going to that event. I'm not doing that one thing. Because like sometimes you're like, all of this stuff's just adding anxiety or stress. And so it's very important to have the focus.
For me, being the person who hasn't been used to that way of working, and I have been a yes man and want to be a no man because I can, a no man.
And no man.
A no man. Just because I can see how, like, I'm sold. Like, sold, I get all this. This is so good. So this is going to be a big learning curve for me. But I think it's really easy to read into it if you don't know it or that you're not aware, or even if you're used to being a yes man all the time. So I've read into Ken's like pushback being like, oh crap, man, something must be wrong with my idea. But that's not true. It's just that if I can come up with all these things that could be better, and it's just going to overload Ken. And it's funny, I messaged you, Ken, because I was aware that it would overload you. I was aware of that part, but not aware of the reason for the pushback, and then looked into it. And so it's just better if you, I guess, from an employee point of view or a team point of view, if you're feeling that tension, just ask about it.
Yeah.
Like, just ask, because that was the best thing I could have done, is just like, Ken, bro, what's going on here? What's happening? And Ken clarifies. I'm like, sick. That makes so much sense. Keep sending it. Like,
yeah.
Rather than sitting on it and feeling like,
yeah.
about it. It's silly.
And that's having the hard combo, right?
100%.
That's having a hard combo, because you stepped out to have a hard combo. And then what we did is have that combo, nip it straight away, like explain it. Because I obviously at the same time, that's how I've operated for 10 years, but I don't realize that everyone else hasn't come along for that ride. There's a few people that have. So we've got a few people on the team that do understand that.
Yeah.
And sometimes could probably be the similar way, but I even like know myself. Like I'm like, that's a cool idea, put it in the pile. And then like Darren and I look at it and go like, oh, cool, we never did that idea. I love the idea of the idea of the big list of ideas, because it's like always write them down.
Yeah.
Like we used to do this before we started Clipflow, we just all the business ideas. Every time we had a business idea, I just write it down. I had a list of like 50, right? And it's like, it's just good because it gives you that like outlet. You're like, said it, it's stored, I'm not going to forget it. And then you just move on with your life. And then you come back in 3 months when you're looking for something to do and you go like, that's bad, that's dumb, that's dumb. That's good. Let's keep doing that. Let's keep pushing here. And those things that keep coming up, those are the things you do.
Yeah, that's awesome. Time is a great filter.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, boys.